Kia nau mai e te whānau. Nau mai hoki mai ki tēnei live stream. Te kupu Māori my live stream. I need to find that out. Thank you for joining us again. Kia ora, Lisa, TJ. I know Jax is watching us too, and Cheryl, and a whole bunch of other people. Thank you for chickening in the chat. Kia ora, little one. Yeah, today I've got a special guest with me. I just want to introduce, find the right button. Hi, Josh. Josh West is one of our Tauira support advisors, or Tauira engagement, and something along those lines. Our inward change every 6 months. So yeah, at the moment you're about our Tauira journey. Nera, Josh. Yeah. So yeah, want to welcome and Josh is going to have a bit of a kōrero about some of the re-enrollment opportunities that are going on now in the Wānanga. So if you or one of your whānau have studied at the Wānanga before and want to re-enroll for next year, you want to take that next level up to your next program, Josh is here to talk about some of the opportunities that you can find out about some of these programs, and especially some of the new ones that we're running. So Josh, how are you?
Good, thank you, Kane. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, a little bit nervous. First Wānanga live stream.
Yeah, just the nerves are there a little bit, but I have faith that we'll get through it.
Yeah, a little bit of thrown under the bus today. You just found out today, was it?
Yes, I just found out today, but no worries. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, nothing like the deep end. Okay,
Exactly.
Kia ora, I'll hand over to you. We do have a QR code on the screen that will show what Josh is talking about.
Pai, so ia, tēnā rā tātou te whānau, ia, ko wai tēnei ko Joshua West tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no te taitokerau no Ngāti Pawa ki Kaiwa hoki. And ai, ko ai te tai o ngā kaitohu tohu whakahuru tauira ki te wānanga nei. So, hello everyone, my name is Josh. I am the newest member to our student recruitment advisor team. And I'm going to quickly go over a little bit about our re-enrollment campaign, which we're currently in. So for this week and next week, so for these 2 weeks, we are our recruitment advisors are going around to the different classes of the Wānanga, essentially going through our recruit re-enrollment campaign. So for these 2 weeks, current tauira are going to be prioritized when it comes to having their applications processed, which means you get first pick into courses for next semester. So firstly, we've got 4 online re-enrollment sessions that we are running. The first one was tonight at 7 p.m. The next one is this Saturday. And the QR code that Kane mentioned will allow you to register for those online re-enrollment sessions. And then the final 2 will be next Wednesday and next Saturday, all run by our recruitment and marketing team, both based at Māngere and Waitakere. And we're going to go over some pathway information, as I mentioned, the courses that are being offered next semester, and give you a little rundown on how to re-enroll. We'll also have another QR code up there, which will essentially give you a little questionnaire to further assist that process. Alongside those 4 online enrollment sessions, we're going to have our recruitment team, our recruitment advisors, based at our front desk at both Māngere and Waitakere, our Māngere campus and Waitakere campus, from the hours of about 10 p.m. to around 6:30. 10 p.m. 10 a.m. to around 6:30. There, if you have any part-time, if you want help re-enrolling, we're more than happy to assist you in that regard. At our Māngere campus would be Saini and Mercedes, and then our Waitakere campus will be myself and Queenie. And as I said, come if you have any questions, no mai hara mai, come have a talk with us. If you want to enroll, great. Not if you want to, when you want to enroll, great. Kampai, we'll see you at the front desk of our campuses. And then lastly, we have our in-class re-enrollment sessions. Kampai, we're going around to the different classes across the campuses, essentially giving the same thing. Presenting which courses will be available next semester and what the pathway options you have to progress. Okay, we're all about uplifting our tauira and our whānau, so do take advantage of that opportunity. And as I mentioned, you are being prioritized for these 2 weeks. Our registry team are prioritizing our current tauira before it opens up to the wider public. So by all means, no mai haru mai te whānau, and I'll pass it back to you, Kane.
Ka pai. So yeah, thanks very much, Josh. Find our right button. Awesome, me hoa. Great job on your first kind of thing. We
Thank
will
you.
have those links if you're at a different campus anywhere across the motu. Your local teams are going to be in contact, or there's going to be opportunities for you guys as well. And of course, just talk to your kayak or talk to reception, or jump on the Wānanga's website and have a look at some of the opportunities. There's some really awesome programs that we've got that are new just this year, that are rolling on next year, like our Tiaki Taonga program, all around looking after our taonga, or Indigenous taonga. There's new programs to immerse yourself in te reo, to go from zero to hero in a year. Lots of different opportunities. And of course, a lot of our programs will scaffold from one to another. So a lot of our business programs, you can start and choose different pathways to carry on your studies. And remember, most of our programs are free whānau. The ones that do cost, we provide all kinds of help in terms of getting student loans or scholarships or other kaupapa like that. So I'll say ka kite, Josh. I'll probably see you again in a little bit when there's some more to share and more opportunities for our tauira to take advantage of. Ka kite, bro. Awesome. 10 points. Exceptional performance for you.
Ngā mihi, Kane. Thank you for having me.
Ka kite.
Ko ka kite.
Okay, cool. You jumped off. So that's awesome. Right, today our main kaupapa is all around pictures, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I try and do it, especially when I was in the Innovation Hub. I'd have people coming all the time with issues with pictures. So I just wanted to show a few things. I was diving into it when I was preparing earlier today, and it really kind of blew out to lots and lots of different things. So we'll try and keep it simple today, and then we'll have a look later on, depending on what you guys want in terms of increasing our photo game and taking better pictures, knowing how to process them and stuff like that. But I just wanted to show firstly what tools we have available in our pockets, what the filters do, and then how to actually manually control some of these things that filters will automatically do, to understand what they're doing and understand how you can get the best out of photos just using the manual controls. So we've got some photos. We're going to have a look at different controls that are available in different programs that all kind of do the same thing. And then we're going to have a look at some of the photo sharing opportunities, and we're also going to have a quick talk around privacy, especially in today's AI age, where are our photos actually being used to train AI, and we'll talk a little bit about that, how to know if you're using a service that does that, and what to watch out for. Okay, so let's jump across to the PC. Kia ora everyone who's been chickening in. Thank you all. I was a bit worried about today's stream because I was doing so much kind of stuff to get Josh in. I buggered up a couple of things. I was worried that I would have to create a brand new stream, but that's cool. Now, I'm using Google Photos at the moment. I've just got a whole bunch of photos here that are saved on this thing. Kia ora, Jax. You're wondering why your photos are on there? It's because you took our camera, our phone, our Te Toihotua phone, and it backed up all the photos that you took when you borrowed it. Okay, and we've got a few other things. We're going to have a look at Pixlr Suite, and we're going to have a look at the default editing program for Microsoft Pictures. I mean, just the Microsoft, but it doesn't matter what you use. A lot of these things are going to be really similar. Okay, so let's have a look at pictures first. Firstly, to get the best out of a picture, you want to take the best picture, and we're going to cover this in a more in-depth topic, and we're probably even going to have a look at things like product photography and taking really, really good photos. So here's some just photos I found online today that kind of show some issues. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some of these issues, and then we're going to have a look at how to correct them. So at the moment, I'm just in the default Microsoft Photos app. So that's the default for opening photos, and unless we've installed something else and specifically chosen that program to open images for us, this is what will open up photos by default in our Microsoft PC. Okay. Right, so this image here, not a lot to it. It's quite grey. Obviously, it's rainy. And we don't see a lot of details in the thing. We actually get a big thumb over the lens. So we'll have a look at that, and we're going to look at how things like saturation and blacks and whites can help edit a photo. Here we've got some red eye. We're actually not going to do much with that in this with this tool. Here I wanted to show actually what photos are made of, and most photos on the internet are made of pixels. So they're little dots, yeah, a square dot, and each dot on a photo is assigned a color. Now, most of the photos that we have are JPEGs. That's what most cameras take photos in. iPhones will take it in a format called HEIF, so highly efficient or high efficiency image format. Okay, but then when we want to share it online, it'll usually be shared as a JPEG or JPG. And so if we zoom all the way in, or as far as we can in on here, we get to see the starts of blocky images, because we're starting to see actual individual pixels. But we're also seeing, just because of the way this photo is, lots of areas around fringes that are called artifacting. Okay, so this image has been compressed. It's lost a lot of quality in the process of shrinking and putting it online. We also have a really, really big problem over here where we're highly overexposed. Now, when we have that happening in a picture, whether it be really light or really dark, often we can't recover that. There is no data in this big white area to provide us any kind of detail. We can use AI tools to try and fix some of that stuff, but we don't always want to use AI tools, and especially if we don't know what's happening with our photo when we use that AI tool. So we're not going to do any editing on this, but I just wanted to explain or show, some of the issues that we have with photos. And then this one. So we're going to start on this one. Once again, we've got this area down here that's highly exposed. Okay, there's no data here. Okay, so we're not going to find a lot here. We've also got, it looks kind of blurry. Okay, once again, I pulled this off the internet. So today, I just searched for examples of bad photos, and this was one of the ones that popped up. So it's nothing. There's no particular kaupapa around this photo, except we've got areas of really bright parts and areas of really dark. But the roof is really black. Okay. So filters, we can go through and we can look at filters. So here I'm in the thing. Okay. Okay. We got lots of filters. All kinds of apps have this. Instagram, Snapchat, the other ones. Okay, these are all cool and we can flick through them, but what's actually happening when we do this? If we come to actually our manual controls, this is a staff that the filters are actually adjusting. So brightness, how much brightness in an image, we can look at what happens by sliding up and down. We can see that we make this really bright. We get to see more detail up in the dark area. The lightest part blows out and overexposes, but we get no detail in the roof. Okay. Exposure. Exposure is like how long was the photo taken for. A longer exposure, a bigger exposure lets in more light. Once again, we're losing detail in the white area. Our contrast is the difference between the darkest and the lightest. Okay. So dropping down our contrast, and this is often a cool thing to do. Just go and push the sliders up and down. But what I'm going to have a look at is the highlights and the shadows. So the highlights are our light areas. And if I bump that up, it's going to bring it up. But because we've got a really strong light area here, I want to start bringing that back. Okay. Once again, it's not going to add detail where there is none to add. But the light parts that do have a bit of detail, it's going to make them a little bit more visible. And shadows, I want to bump up my shadows. Okay, so it's like upping my exposure, but without upping the brightness in these light areas too much. Okay. So this really is a bad photo, but it's a good example of, I guess, a lot of photos that we take at night, especially if we're taking photos of an event or stuff like that. Now, the reason for this, and the reason why, if you're taking photos at night, or even if you don't think it's very dark, your camera will find it's probably more darker than your eyes find. And so to capture enough light in that instance, say you're looking at a performance on stage or something like that, you're at one of the kids, a kids school performance or sports. Got a lot of sports prize givings happening at the moment, and then they come out blurry. It's because your camera is automatically adjusting for the light and saying there's not enough light here. I need to keep my iris or my I need to keep letting in light for longer. And while that's happening, the subject's moving, and that's where you get blur, or you're moving your phone. So you can't change a lot of things there except get people to stop moving and use something to rest your phone on if you don't have a tripod or a stabilizer or something like that. The other things that we've got, saturation. Saturation adds in, brings up the color or takes away the color. Warmth is another one that gets used a lot in filters. So if we add more warmth, it's going to add more yellow to our picture, yellow being warm. If we take away warmth, it's going to up the blues, okay? And blue being a cold color. So we're playing around with these because we're going to have a look and see also in some of the online apps exactly the same kind of thing happening. Tint kind of changes a hue, color over the top, and sharpness with a good photo will make the details pop. So that's what these filters are doing. They're actually adjusting all of these things. They're just like presets. So that's just the basic basic pictures tool in Windows. I can't remember what Mac has. I'm just going to cancel that. But it will have something similar. I'm going to come back to this photo, okay, and do the same thing. So once again, I'm going to come up to edit. Okay, I can crop, but if I come to manual, okay, brightness, I might brighten it up a bit. That's making it look a little bit better. Okay. Now all this brick behind this person is quite dark. So this is where a great example of using shadows. I'm going to blow it out too much. But if I drag up shadows, it's not making the rest kind of overdone, but it's bringing out a lot of detail in these darker areas. Okay, and we get to see a lot more of the bricks and the texture there. Saturation, I bring that up, but this jacket gets oversaturated. Okay. But I might play around with warmth and actually just take a little bit away just to get a little bit more blue in the sky. And I can play around with tints slightly, and I don't have to worry about sharpness. But understanding how these work helps me to actually get the photo that I want without having to rely on filters and just flicking through a million filters trying to find one that looks okay. So that's all I might do. I might just whack shadows up and play around a little bit with highlights. Okay. Now, a lot of tools now are saying AI. So these ones are quick AI where they'll erase things or they'll change the background. A lot of our phones have these tools now. I don't want to leave without saving. It's a hard one for me because I'd want to know, is my image then going to get used to train AI? It's a really important consideration. When I'm using a tool that's sitting on my computer like this, it's probably okay. I'm not going to actually, I'll try not to give real AI advice in terms of this, but it's a real consideration when using free tools online. So stuff that's on your phone is probably okay as well, but just realize that that's a possibility. Okay. Final thing here, I'm going to just come to crop because we've got this thumb in the corner. Okay. And I got a free crop option when I move this around. Now, lots of crops, when we crop, will bring up this grid, a 3x3 grid. So it'll have lines, and those lines are called the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds state that any subject on the intersection of those thirds, will make the picture look more interesting. So if I made this smaller and brought the subject in the middle, okay, that's a kind of a cool picture. But having them on one of these intersecting lines, and especially if I can get the eyes on this intersection right there, it's going to make it an even better picture. Just more, our eyes are more attuned to finding interest in something like that. So that's a little tip when it comes to cropping. Okay? Look for these lines that pop up. Hopefully people can see them on the webs, on YouTube. It's not compressing them out. Okay, and then line the subject or subjects up on these lines or on the intersections. And then I can save or save as a copy. I'll just save as a copy. It's going to save it to my pictures by default. I'm just going to go save. Yep. Okay, so So that's the default tool. Let's actually have a look at the original and see if I can compare it to the new one. So yeah, a lot better without using any filters at all. Next, Google Photos. A lot of us use Google Photos. Our phones often come with it. I use it all the time. Google say that they do not look at your photos and use your photos to train AI. Okay? So if they're in your Google Photos, that's what Google says for their terms and services. They can use them to help with things like image recognition, but one of my biggest concerns with AI is not just training AI, but also facial recognition. Okay? Google Photos does have facial recognition in it, but that data is supposed to be kept just in your account. So the data of your photos and the faces that are in your photos. How much do you believe Google? I don't know. That's another question. Okay. But I'm going to come in. I've created an album called Photo Fixing, and we can come in here, and whether we're using Google Photos on our phone or on the web, okay, we've got exactly the same kinds of things. We've got automatic filters, we've got crops, and here's our rule of thirds again. And rotates. And then we've got our photo options, our manual controls. Okay. So once again, we've got things like brightness and contrast. We've got a white point, so we've got extra things. We've got highlights and shadows, but we've got a white point and black point. That's saying where should the white point or the black point, so what's pure white and what's pure black, where should they sit? Should it be more white or should it be less white, or more black and less black? But here, it's not a bad photo. I can pump up my highlights a bit, okay, because we've got all this grain in the chair. But I'm going to pump up my shadows, okay, and that's going to open up all this extra detail. Now drag my highlights down a bit again, and I might just play around with contrast, because I think I've actually lost a little bit of detail in the wood. I'll bring this back a little bit. Okay. And in saturation, I'm going to pump up the saturation because there's not a lot of color in the foreground, but there is color in the background. So I'm just going to make that color pop a little bit more. Once again, warmth. So this is a good example of using warmth. So adding warmth, it's going to add a little bit of, and I only need to add a little bit, just going to add a little bit of extra yellow, yellow being our warm color. If I pump it up, you'll see what happens. So that's kind of a sepia kind of look. Or if I take warmth out, okay, we start seeing like a cold color. Okay. So I want it a warm color, I want it nice and happy. And now skin tone is a really cool thing that Google has added. And blue tone is kind of cool. So these two things, we'll have a look at a different photo with that. Okay. Pop is kind of like vibrancy. We can make it pop, just let all those details pop out. And then vignette is kind of a nice tool when we're looking at portraits and stuff like that. It puts a little dark shadow around the edges, and what that does is it focuses the eye on the middle. So that's where we can use vignettes. Okay. And we can save that. Now Google Photos saves it and also saves the original. So we'll come back here. I added this photo as well, just because this is an example of a nighttime photo, or a photo that was quite dark. So if we zoom in, we can see we've lost a lot of detail. There's a lot of artifacts in this photo. Basically, because there's not enough light for the camera to get all that information. But then once again, if we play around with some of these things, we'll bump up brightness a little bit, maybe play around with contrast, white point. When I start playing around too much, once again, we can only do so much to a bad photo or okay. But yeah, when I start pumping out things, we start to see real big artifacting, okay? Or color banding. So color banding right here with the light. Move over. Okay. We can see these streaks of light coming up. Okay. So there, we do have some kind of tools just to click on and enhance. But once again, just showing you what those manual tools do. I'm going to discard those changes, and then we're going to have a look at this Jitterjacks, okay, and have a look at what these skin tone and blue tone do. So skin tone is just going to look at the skins, and it's going to add extra color or take away extra color to those skins. Okay? So you want a nice big golden skin, you can play around with that. Really cool little feature. And then blue tone I found really useful for skies. So if we have a look at the sky up the top, it's a little bit hard because we've got the sun shining in the corner and it's blowing out a lot of that color. But we can add blue tone to get the sky more bluer. So take away blue tone, it's just playing with the sky. And let's pop that up a bit too. Let's take a little bit of warmth out, just a little bit more on the blue. Okay, it looks like a cold day because we've got beanies and stuff on. Okay. I'll pull the highlights back a little bit. And there, that's a nice, simple, simple edit using some of those tools. Does Jackie Mangi ever do any work? No, she just throws her staff under the bus and gets them to do all the making. Okay, last little thing is Pixlr. So Pixlr has been quite a popular thing. There's a Pixlr app that's available for iPhone and Android as well. But it is a service where they want to monetize. They want to be able to provide some of this. It's not. There's a free part of the service, but what you're paying is that you're looking at ads and you're getting your notifications all the time to pay a subscription service. Okay, but the free stuff is pretty cool. So here, I'm going to come in. I'm going to open an image. I'm just going to open it on my thing. Here, I'm going to look at this red eye photo. Now, Pixlr is a example of, here's exactly the same things. We've got brightness, exposure, contrast, blacks, whites, highlights, and shadows. Okay. So I can play around with all the same things just like before. Pixlr has some other cool things. It's got layers, so we can actually play around with layers. Now, there are things like effects. Okay, so we've got, these are like our filters. There's retouches, dodge and burn. So tools that get rid of red eye, although cameras are a lot more smarter, we don't see red eye like we used to. What they do is they actually take the color out of the eye. So they take that red out by desaturating or removing all the color. I'm going to drop my size down a little. Okay. And so here I can darken that area. So I'm just click, 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 4, 5. Okay. Do the same here. And start removing that red eye. It's not perfect. Range dark. Nope. Let's undo. So there's some simple things like that when we can actually have a brush and alter stuff. Don't play around with heal and repair and clone stamp. That's something totally different. But okay, what we can do, I'm just going to come all the way back, is I'm going to come to this layer and I'm going to duplicate the layer, and then I'm going to use a cutout tool. I'll just use a shape. I'm going to choose a circle. Softness is how much kind of is the area around the circle going to be a bit blurry? Is it going to be soft, or is it going to be hard? And I'm going to just draw a circle around that eye. Okay. Now, if I take this original photo and take that off, that's what I've got. I can then, let's bring that back. I'll duplicate that layer again, and I'm going to do the same thing with this eye. Take that off. Now I've got two eyes. Not perfect. And then I can drop this layer down to the previous one. So I've merged these eyes into one layer. That means whatever I do now, while I'm got this layer selected, I'm just doing to that layer. So just these eyes. And then I can do a lot more. So here we go, vibrance. We're gonna take down our vibrance a bit, and that's given me a better kind of look without making the baby look evil. Or if I want the baby to look evil, that's all available to you as well. But with a little bit of playing around, we can do some really cool things. And once again, this is free and this is all online. I looked at a whole bunch of other things today as well in terms of tools that we can use, and they get really complex really quickly. So these are just some free tools that we can use, and regardless of what phone or system we've got, all of these things like vibrant saturation, temperature, highlights and shadows are all similar, and they make a huge difference to be able to alter our photos just as we need to use them. Now, another kaupapa with this is actually sharing the photos. So sharing is getting a little bit more complex, but a lot of us, and something I see all the time, is people sharing photos or wanting help with a photo, and they'll send it to me via Facebook. So tools like, or services like Facebook, also WhatsApp, belongs to Facebook, even Instagram, will compress the photos a lot. And when it compresses the photos, what it's doing is it's shrinking the size of the photo, not so much the physical size all the time, although it can do that, but it reduces the quality. So it reduces the amount of information in the photo to reduce its size that it takes up on a computer. So it's not as stressful on all of that services, whether it be Facebook or Snapchat. They're not as stressful on their servers. If you can imagine a billion people all sharing photos every day, it could be a huge amount of data that gets transferred across the internet. So they will compress them. With JPEG images, every time we save it, every time we send it, every time it gets compressed, it loses quality that can never get brought back. So I've had people send me stuff via Facebook, and I just have to say it's too low quality. It's just too much compressed. There's too much kind of artifacts and errors in the photos. So it's not always the best tool for sharing something when you want something done with it, especially if you want it printed or made larger for any particular reason. So that's why I wanted to show how to different ways to share photos. Now, of course, we can email photos. That's a great tool. Sometimes emails will say this photo is too large. Would you like to resize it? And then they'll compress it. So what else can we do? Now, with Google, it does have a really cool sharing function. Right? So we can share a photo, or we can share a whole album. So here I've got this album here. Right? I can add photos into the album from my Google Photos, and I can share the album. Now, I've never used the share to Facebook or share to X or Twitter, right? But I can create a link. You'll see here that there was an option to share photo location because we're taking so many photos with our cameras now, or with our, of course, we're taking photos with cameras with our phones, and they've got GPS. Then those photos get tagged with the location. So if you don't want that, if you're sharing stuff and you don't really want people to know where it was taken, turn that off. Right? But you can choose specific people, and they have to have a Google account. So the only way that Google can authenticate other users is if they also have a Google account, either Gmail or a Google account that's associated with a web address or a domain. Or I can create a link, okay, and this link will just allow anyone, regardless of if they have a Google account or not. Now the link here in this case is photos.app.goo.gl, and then a whole bunch of random letters. There is no other protection on this photo album except this randomness. So if someone would happen to find that randomness and stumble across those photos, they could see the photos without your permission. Okay, but if I copy those photos, I can copy link. Okay, let anyone with the link see photos and people in this album. Okay, copy. I'll come to open a guest profile. So this is the guest window. No one's logged in here. And paste that in. Okay, Google Photos. Not only that, if I'm signed into Google, I can add my own photos. So this is a really cool tool for sharing photos, either with family. For instance, you got an event, someone's birthday, Christmas, or anything. Our whānau often create a Google Photos album, and everyone puts all their photos in there, so we all have each other's photos to share from. I do the same for our girls' sports. I take photos, get the best ones, and after I've done some slight editing, put them into a Google Photos album, and other whānau can add their own photos in them. So that can be a cool way. Once again, Google Photos will not use your photos to train AI. That's what they say. But if we use tools like Google's Gemini AI, then we lose that protection. So just something to be aware of. Another way is that we can just put our photos into Google Drive, and Google does not look at our drive at all. Okay? So it doesn't look at our photos at all, and we can get an album and we can share that. So if I just come to photo editing, I can right click on that, I can share, click on share, and once again I can share it with people by putting their details in. But once again, they have to have a Google account, or I can do general access, anyone with the link. So anyone on the internet with the link can view. Okay? And then I can copy the link. And once again, they don't have to have a Google account. So I'll open a guest profile, paste that link in. Once again, we're only really protected though by the randomness of that address. Okay. So how do I know if I'm using a service like a cloud service like Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox or something like that, if they are going to protect my privacy or and not use my photos or me having my photos there to do things like train AI or train facial recognition or put my face into a database for facial recognition? The short answer is you don't really know for sure. Okay? We can just follow the terms and services or the privacy. So what you want to look for is in any service like that is, and it's usually right down the bottom, hopefully here, okay, is privacy. Privacy and terms. So you want to have a look at that and look through it and look for anything with sharing or AI, okay? And anything that might be ambiguous about that. And it doesn't matter what service that you use. Okay? You can also use AI to analyze this stuff. So you could get this website, put it into an AI tool like Google Gemini or ChatGPT and ask it, are there any privacy concerns or what are the privacy concerns about using the service based on these, what it says, just to help you sort through all of that. Okay, other tools that you can use, like there's other services like Flickr. Flickr is a photo tool. It is free, but they have paid options. Free, there's limited things that you can do with the free version, but you can still get photos. You can save photos there. You can share photos, and because it was created as a photographer's website, it's got really, really good. It doesn't compress them. It retains a lot of that data. It's also owned by a company that touts privacy and security. So that's one thing. There's hundreds and hundreds of sites that allow us to share. So I don't want to go through them all, but just to be aware of the downfalls of using tools like Facebook, WhatsApp to share photos with whānau and friends. Okay. What some of the other free tools are available, what we have to watch out for in terms of our privacy and protecting our data. So that was kind of the photos thing. I hope that was useful. I hope you learned something valuable. I will come back to photos and look at like taking really good photos, how to maximize the camera that you've got to have really good photos by understanding a couple of little techniques, little tips that you can do, and um, and just applying them and applying a little bit of thought when you take some photos. Yeah, because it can, like, photos are our gold, really, our memories. In fact, tonight, because I'm doing live stream and I don't get to read with my girl, she's having a memories night with wifey, looking back at photos. So they are important. Once again, hopefully that was useful. I've enjoyed kind of diving into this myself and just clarifying some of my processes and what I do. Yeah, have a play, tutor around, try some of those sliders and see what they do, and understand that that's all filters do. They're just doing that kind of stuff. And once again, the creativity you bring might set you apart from everybody else. So have a good evening, have a great rest of the week and a good weekend. Friends sent me a picture yesterday of it snowing in Rotorua, so yeah, keep warm. I know the chill's coming up the country and causing a few issues around the place. Yeah, be awesome. Next week, I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I think it's going to be something along Google Sites. So yeah, I'll post that up Friday. Keep an eye out on Facebook, the tutorial tour on Facebook, because that's where I'll post it. I also put the thing on YouTube, so subscribe, like and subscribe, yeah, to the YouTube to get notified as well. Thank you very much. If you're watching this on playback after it's gone live, then yeah, be awesome yourself. Thank you to everyone. Have a good night. I'm going to have a shower and play games. Oh,